Welcome back to Harbour Unboxed for another episode of Unboxed Therapy, where I unbox computer hardware in a therapeutic way. Not really sure where I was going with that intro. Sorry about that, I got a bit ahead of myself. First package already opened. We have a few packages here, but just jumping right into it. And what? Oh, yes. Okay, so this has been heavily requested on Twitter. Quite a few of you guys have direct messaged me asking me to check out this thing. So what is this thing, you ask? Well, it has an interesting looking power cable and a little yellow packet. Right, so in this yellow packet is a laptop thing. This one is a mini PCI Express, the HDMI version. And what this does is, basically this allows you to turn pretty much any laptop, particularly in this case one with a mini PCI Express slot, typically used for Wi-Fi dongles and things like that, but if you're lucky you might even have a spare one. It allows you to use an external or desktop GPU, your typical discrete graphics card, with your laptop. So that's very, very interesting indeed, as Kev would say. So basically what it allows you to do is, like I said, you plug a discrete, we've got a GTX 1070. So it goes that away. You pop your graphics card in, much like you would in any other PCI Express slot, and it sits like that on your desk next to your laptop. This then plugs into the mini PCI Express slot, so you're going to have to take the bottom of your laptop off. Usually, if you're lucky, you might have like a little module that you can get in rather than have to take the whole base of the laptop off, but you could modify your laptop because this does need to be plugged in quite conveniently. So when you get home, you just plug that in, power up your graphics card, and then you have the full power of this baby driving your laptop. So it improves gaming out of sight. So there's not a whole lot to this kit. Basically, you have the HDMI cable at one end, mini PCI Express at the other. That obviously goes in your laptop. Move this out of the way. Then to power it, you have two choices. I'll just take this out actually. Probably add some B-roll here to make what I'm explaining a bit easier. But yeah, there's a 12 volt DC input, so you can use a laptop style external power brick if you have one of those. Obviously it will need to deliver enough power to power your graphics card, but a graphics card on its own doesn't consume a huge amount of power. I will do a separate video on this where I explain all things in much more detail once I've done the appropriate research. But the cheapest and probably easiest way would be to use this connector that comes with it. That goes to your your standard ATX power supply, so just any spare ATX power supply. You can probably get like a 400 watt model for next to nothing. So that's just to jump start it, and then you will have a 4-pin power input here. Possibly the CPU 4-pin would go into that to power the graphics card. Then you will need to plug, which I thought this kit came with that cable, but it doesn't seem to. You'll need to run a PCI Express power cable out and into the graphics card. And yeah, I was pretty sure this kit came with that. I bought it off eBay, so no doubt it's missing some bits. But yeah, so that's how that works. And then yeah, you will go from, so I've got a laptop with it's a pretty gutsy Core i3 processor. It works really well, but you have to use the Core i3 processor's integrated HD graphics, and as you guys know, that runs like rubbish. So pretty powerful laptop that can't play games basically. Things like Rocket League and all that are way out of its league. So adding something even like a GTX 1050, a $100 US graphics card would make the laptop a whole lot more useful, at least when you're at home. I mean, it's not a portable practical solution, but if you've got a decent laptop like what I have, and you don't want to go and spend thousands of dollars on a new laptop, or $500 on, what is it, the Razer Thunderbolt thing where it doesn't even come with a graphics card or anything like that. So this is a cheap, cost-effective way of taking, a graphics laptop that couldn't game and turning it into one that can game. So yeah, I won't go into too much more detail about this. I'll do a bit more research, a bit more tinkering, because I've obviously never used one before, see how well it works, and if it is indeed worth the $55 US, no, $55 Australian delivered, sorry, I paid for this. But of course you still have to bring a graphics card and a power supply, and it looks like there's a few more cables required, so I'll have to look into whether that was meant to come with the cables or not. Alright, moving on. Oh, still haven't got over the flu yet. It's killing me, this thing. But anyway, we're getting there a lot better than I was last week. Hopefully next week will be a new week for me. I'll be back to full power. None of this throttling business. Okay, get that out of the way. We'll go with this box. What do we have here? Ah, these are interesting. Okay. Okay, pair of SteelSeries headsets. So that's interesting. I haven't really looked at any of their products or headsets in a long time. I believe they're called the Arctis, Arctis 5 and Arctis 7. I'm sure if I'm pronouncing that wrong, you guys will let me know in the comment section. Let's have a look at the 5 first. Pretty funky looking box there, box artwork. Actually, it's very funky looking on the inside as well. It's pretty cool. Alright, well right away I've got to say these feel very, very premium and look very nice as well. Wow, this is... I say this every time I get a nice new headset, but yeah, these do feel great. They've got like a really nice feeling rubberized material on the ear cups there, on the outside of them. It feels really cool. Then you've got sort of a soft, sporty feeling cushion. Feels like it's got memory foam in it. And then an adjustable band here on some metal clips. Again, more of that soft rubber all up in here. Wow, they are super comfortable. Retractable mic. Yeah, that bends to where you want it quite well. Retracts nice and easily. Wow, I can barely hear myself there. They insulate the ears very well. They lay flat on your desk, so that's really good. What have we got in the accessory bin? Even the cables themselves are very impressive. Little micro USB. So we got a micro USB to 3.5mm audio jack, so you can use them as an analog headset. Or you can plug them into this controller, which looks like it would sit on your desk. I'm winging this as I go, as I always do with the unboxing boxes series. So if you don't want to use your sound card or whatever you have in your system, you can get rid of that, and you can plug this straight into this little nifty controller. So yeah, nifty little controller, volume control there, so it's an inline thing, but rather than have it somewhere clipped onto you or whatever, you can just sit that on your desk. So if you were to wear the headset like so, if I can get them around the right way. So it's fairly long, you can sit that controller quite a way away from you. But if you had it something like that on your desk, so if your keyboard was here, volume control knob there, pretty easy to get to. And then the USB cable has got to be 1.5-ish long, and that will go to your PC. The other cool thing about these is, you've got these, obviously these custom nice cables, they look really good, but if you go to a LAN or a mate's place or something and you forget this cable, you will still be able to use the headset because it has a 3.5mm audio jack here as well. So all you need to do is get a 3.5mm audio jack male to male, and you can plug it from here to your sound card and you're good to go. Or if, you know, down the track you happen to be a bit clumsy and lose this cable, it doesn't mean the whole headset's written off or you have to pay some extreme fee to get this replaced. You can just get a cheap 3.5mm audio jack. Here we go. Plug that in there. Obviously you'd have a longer one than this, but then it goes to your sound card and they still work. You'll lose obviously the USB 7.1, you know, virtual sound feature or whatever. A lot of you guys don't really care for that anyway. But yeah, I really like this, and the custom cables look very nice, very cool indeed. And just the headset overall feels really nice. Alright, before wasting too much more time, I should probably check out the more expensive headset and then just go over a few key features of each. And I might give them a quick test, we'll see how we go. Okay, so again, funky packaging, nice looking stuff. Ooh, wow. And this is the next level version. So I believe this is a wireless headset. I do love a wireless headset. Actually, to be fair, I pretty much like any wireless peripheral. Okay, so we've still got a heap of cables, so it probably does wired and wireless. So here is our USB wireless receiver for the headset, and you can also plug line in and line out to that, so you can use this without having to use it wirelessly. So for example, you would plug that into there and then that into there, and now they're a wired headset. It also has a USB cable, so you can go directly to your PC without having to use the wireless module at all. So there's plenty of options here for how you want to connect it to your PC. So there it acts as a wired headset. You've also got a 3.5mm audio jack, so you can plug it in that way and just use your analog audio. So the on-ear, actually, did this have that as well? Yes, so I didn't cover that. So both of these headsets have on-ear cup volume control and the ability to mute the mic. And then of course they both have that retractable microphone that works and looks quite good. Well, I don't know how well it works, I haven't tested it, but given how nice these are, I can't imagine it's terrible. This has a nice band the whole way around, and then a steel headband, so super durable. Feels very similar to this headset. Slightly heavier, I'd say. Possibly. Only slightly heavier, but it fits on your head really nice. You're not gonna throw that off in a tantrum too easily. And again, that folds flat. So they both fold flat on the desk. I can see that all the swivels and things like that, they're all made out of steel, so they're not gonna snap very easily. Well, they're not going to snap at all, basically. So yeah, very high quality premium headset. Again, the memory foam's in these, which feels awesome, and the breathable ear cups, so you won't get too sweaty. And you've got that really rubberized material on the outside of the ear cups as well. The thing I like about them as well is they're not a fingerprint magnet at all. So when you're picking them up, there's nothing worse than having a gloss headset because they just look terrible. So a few quick details. Both headsets are available in black or white. Obviously I've got the black version, but yeah, can get them in white also. And they have quite impressive drivers in them. So they've both got neodymium 40mm drivers in each ear cup. And these are apparently their S1 drivers. That's what SteelSeries calls them. And they're the same drivers they feature in their $300 headsets. So they're supposed to be quite impressive, so good to see they're offering them in these, though these aren't super cheap. So yeah, these ones, the Arctis 5s, they are $100 US or $170 Aussie, but they feel like they're worth every bit of it. Obviously, I've still got to test them out to see how good they sound. But yeah, build quality wise, they certainly look like a headset that would cost that much. And then the wireless version it's actually pretty good value in the US. It's only $150 US. In Australia though, it's $260, so quite pricey down under. So if I get a chance, I'll have a bit more of a look at them towards the end of the episode. But we've got a few more things to get through, so I won't spend 20 minutes on the headsets. Alright, let's jump into these, which are clearly both NAS products. I'll put this one down here. Okay. For those of you who haven't guessed, this is from Synology. And yeah, definitely a NAS in this box. A big NAS. Come on. I'm getting weak. Okay, DS1517 Plus. So one of the big boys, and this is a brand new model. Okay, this is a serious looking NAS, this one. I know NAS devices aren't particularly popular with you guys because, as most of you are quite tech savvy and PC enthusiasts and like to mess around with stuff, if you were going to have a file server or storage or whatever, you just make your own using something like FreeNAS or just Windows. So I get that. That's why I don't really review many of these on the channel. But I have to say, I really do like these NAS devices. Especially now that I'm doing stuff like all the video work and editing and that. I don't really have time to be messing around with FreeNAS and stuff like that. I mean, it's not terribly difficult, but just things like, you know, maintenance and all that sort of stuff and upgrades. It's just a bit more time consuming, a bit more stuffing around. And what really makes sense with these and what makes them practical is that you don't need to be a computer expert to have one, and that's obviously who they're targeting, which is again why I don't really review them on the channel, because most of you guys know exactly what you're doing with PC hardware and aren't that interested in a friendly little box for storing your data. But I've found it useful for me, because when I'm at somewhere like Computex, for example, and I need someone locally, like my wife or someone at home, to access data off this or do something for me, they can do it without a problem. You don't need a degree in computer science to work it out. And I mean, that's who they're targeted at. So basically small companies that don't want to pay for IT support and have an IT department, they just want to get one of these, take it out of the box, put the CD in, if they still have an optical drive, or just type in findsynology.com, and it walks you through the most easy setup ever. Basically anyone can set this up. It's pretty much one of the easiest bits of software and kit to use. And that's why they're worth so much, because they spend a lot of time developing the software. So it's not so much the hardware you're paying for, though the hardware in this particular model is quite good, and we'll get to that now. So as I said, this is a Synology disk station. It's the 1517 Plus model. It has 5 3.5-inch drive, 3 5.5-inch drive bays. God, I'm a bit slow at the moment. Power button there, everything. But basically inside you get a quad-core Atom processor, runs at 2.4 gigahertz, no boost on that particular model, 2 megabytes of level 2 cache, no level 3 cache, and it's a 15 watt TDP processor, so you can leave this running 24/7 and it's not putting much of a dent in your power bill. Basically the hard drives inside will be consuming more power than the hardware itself, or the operating hardware. Around the back you will find 4 RJ45 Gigabit Ethernet ports, and they can all be used together with link aggregation. A single client will only get 100 megabytes per second throughput even with the link aggregation, but it just means multiple users can be hammering the unit at once and be getting close to maximum throughput. It looks like in total we have 4 USB 3.0 ports, 3 on the back, 1 on the front, and then you'll notice some eSATA ports, and these can be used to connect to external expansion units. So you can take, I think, well, if you use 10 terabyte hard drives, you'll have 50 terabytes of storage with this model, and I think you could probably add another 100 terabytes or so with external storage devices. So yeah, plenty of storage there. And then you'll notice here we have a PCI Express expansion slot. And Synology, this doesn't come as standard, I don't believe. They've sent this along as a bonus. They're M2D17. And basically what this is a PCI Express half-height adapter card. Plug that in and it will allow you to insert 2 M.2 SSDs, I believe of the NVMe variety. And they basically act as high-speed cache drives, so you can cache the data on the 5 hard drives. So stuff that's being accessed heavily will come through really quick. Though to take advantage of that, you will really want 10 base or 10 gigabit Ethernet rather than the 1 gigabit. So interesting. You really need a card that offers the cache, or the cache. You really need a card that offers the caching ability as well as upgraded networking. And finally, for those of you wondering, it is $700 US for this model, so it's a top tier sort of small to medium business targeted model. It'd be very premium for home users, but anyway, $700 US, and that translates to about $1,065 Australian. So yeah, I'm keen. This won't be, as I said, you guys really aren't interested in this. I get that the video, or if I reviewed this on the channel, wouldn't get that many views, so I'm not going to bother. Might be something I do in the future, but this will be going up on TechSpot, so you'll see that on TechSpot within the next few weeks or so. Okay, well, I'm banging on about NAS devices, might as well get this guy out of the way. So this is QNAP's brand new TS453B, and again, this is a small to medium business class NAS device, so very premium for home users, but this would actually suit home users probably a lot better than this one would because of the features. So I'll just grab it out. So basically this guy here is the jack of all trades. There isn't much this thing can't do. It's basically an all-in-one NAS solution, whatever that means. Making things up as I go. Alright, so on the front here we have a USB 3 Type A port, but the most interesting part is we do have a Type C, and both of these are used for the quick access function. So you can, there's a few ways this works. You can plug storage in, like an external hard drive, hit that button and it will quickly copy everything off the drive to a designated folder on the NAS. So that's great for quickly dumping photos or things if you're a photographer. You can also use the SD card slot just here. So if you take your SD card out, drop it in there, you don't have to jump on the computer or anything, just hit that button and it'll put it all in a folder that you've selected. So that's nice and convenient. Also, alternatively, with a cable which isn't provided, so if you have a Type C cable, or you can even use the Type A, if you have basically a cable that can go from here to the USB port on your notebook or your desktop or whatever, you can use this as a DAS, so direct attached storage. So if you take it somewhere where there's no network, or for whatever reason the network's down or something along those lines, you can still access your data on here quickly and conveniently using a USB cable. And that's something you can't do with this guy, for example. Something else really interesting about this model is the front panel, how it opens and closes, which I'll show you in a moment. Basically, most NAS devices have what you'll see here on the Synology, where the drives are all exposed and you can just pop them in and out like that. These ones are lockable. But yeah, that's the more traditional style. Synology's more mainstream home-oriented NAS drives. They do have a front panel that goes over, but that uses rubber grommets to pop in and out, and it is quite difficult to get back on once you pull it off. So that's a bit annoying. It's not super quick and convenient. Whereas this is, there's a little lock on the side here. Once you push that down, it unlocks it, and you just, that's it. And now you can just pull the drives out. You just push this little clip down, drives come out, and they are also toolless as well. So you just pop the drive in, pop that back in, and you're good to go. Slide that in like so. And then this just slides back on. And then this just slides back on. So easy. It is actually really easy if you're not a bloody bonehead. Alright, flipping around the back, we do find some interesting things here. We have a pair of HDMI outputs, and they do support 4K displays. So that's really cool. You can utilize some software with that, and if you're a home user, which you wouldn't really be buying this model for being a home user, but you could watch 4K movies or any type of content using those. There's also audio out, and then you can use the USBs to connect up a keyboard and mouse. Pair of Gigabit Ethernet ports, power input, so it does have an external power brick. And then that is a massive 120mm fan, which is quite large for a 4-bay NAS, especially a compact one. I mean, this is a 4-bay, that's a 5-bay, so you can see there's quite a large difference in size. Performance-wise, this is still very snappy. It's got a quad-core Celeron-based SoC, and that operates at a base frequency of 1.5 GHz, which is quite low, but it can boost up as high as 2.3 GHz, so it should be still quite snappy. The other cool thing about this model is, like the expensive Synology here, this one also has a PCI Express expansion slot. And QNAP have some really awesome options. They sort of one-up Synology, that you can go with a card, much like the one I just showed you, that supports a pair of NVMe SSDs, and it also has a 10 gigabit Ethernet port as well. So that's a huge upgrade for this model. And I think it's $260 US, so it is quite pricey. Don't quote me on that. It's somewhere around $200-ish. But there's 4 versions of it as well that stagger down in price that have varied feature sets. And just finally, I would like to note that this model comes with either 4 GB or 8 GB of memory out of the box, and I strongly recommend anyone interested in this model forget about the 8 GB version, because it costs an absolute arm and a leg. They're charging something like $170 US premium for another 4 GB of memory, and we know 4 GB of memory only costs about $40 US for laptop style memory. So it's very easy to upgrade. You don't void your warranty upgrading the memory in this model. So yeah, and it's expandable to 16 GB. So yeah, don't buy the 8 GB model is basically what I'm getting at there. Okay, final package. What do we have here? Some bubble wrap, some pink bubble. Ooh. Okay. Yes, just the one. Alright. Wouldn't be an unboxing boxes episode without a graphics card. So, a couple of them this excited about an RX 560. But yeah, I've been trying to get one of these for a long time. The RX 560 has been a rare commodity, Probably more so now that the AMD GPUs are all being snapped up by miners. I'll have a video that sort of touches on that later in the week. Quite a few of you asked me to do a mining benchmark video, so I've looked into doing that. Anyway, this I want for another video that I'm even more excited about, and that is the updated RX 560 versus GTX 1050, and I'll throw on the 1050 Ti. And basically that's a look at which is the best value $100 GPU. Obviously, these will be all out of stock right now. You won't be able to buy one for $100, but that's going to change before long. I mean, we've seen these mining booms before. They are called mining booms for a reason. So things will settle down, hopefully before too long, and you'll be able to buy one of these. Though I don't recommend you buy this particular version. Sorry about that, Gigabyte. Nothing wrong with the Gigabyte card, mind you. It's just that this is a 4GB version, and they start about $140 US when they are in stock. And yeah, massive waste of money. Do not buy the 4GB versions. Get the 2GB cards. Don't listen to anyone that says, oh, 2GB, that's not enough for 1080p gaming in 2017. It won't be enough in 2018 and beyond, blah, 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 blah. Completely ignore them. The 4GB card is a complete and utter waste of money. The GPU itself doesn't have anywhere near the power to utilize a 4GB VRAM buffer. So save yourself a heap of money and get the 2GB card for $100. And it's very important with these lower end tier cards that you do buy the cards that are priced at the MSRP, because even paying a $20 premium for something like this is just a huge waste of money. You're not going to see that translate into added performance. So yeah, base model RX 560s rather. Same true for the 460. But yeah, base model RX 560s, base model GTX 1050s and 1050 Ti's all the way. Don't buy premium cards. I don't believe there is an Aorus version of this card anyway, so no extreme RX 560. That would be absolutely stupid. But yeah, we'll have a quick look at the card. So yeah, although this is the 4GB model that I recommend you don't buy, the exact same card is available with 2GB of VRAM, and it sells, or it will be selling, for $100 US, not $140 that this guy sells for. But even at $120, I still wouldn't recommend paying $20 US for this card, because there's really no situation where it's going to provide you better performance. It's just, as I said, the GPU simply doesn't have the horsepower to utilize that much memory. So a complete waste of money there. Yeah, compact, nice little card. Looks like Gigabyte's gone pretty heavy on the cooling for an RX 560. You've got, looks like two really big dual length 8mm heat pipe, I believe. So I mean, it's only a single heat pipe, but it is an 8mm copper heat pipe that looks like it snakes through the entire length of the card. And the cooler spans the whole length of the card and takes up all two slots as well. So dual slot cooler. But yeah, I think that should run rather cool. Get the most out of the RX 560. Of the RX 500 series, we obviously have the RX 550, which we've looked at, and I think that's priced at $70 or $80 US, and that's pretty poor value at that price. It really needs to be about $50 US, but that is a completely new bit of silicon in the RX 550. The RX 560 is the same silicon as the RX 460, but it's fully unlocked, so you do get 1024 SPUs, or cores, with the RX 560. So that's about a 14% upgrade over the 460, so you should expect around about a 10% boost in performance. That'll probably be a bit more than that because those cores are clocked 6% higher as well. So more cores, clocked higher, so it should be a good bit faster than the RX 460, which is good because the RX 460, if I'm honest, pretty much sucked. The RX 470 is what I'm going for. I'm struggling big time here. That was really exceptionally good value, and then the 460 was just a massive letdown. But anyway, the second I finish filming here, I'm going to run upstairs, chuck this in the test system and get benchmarking. I've already spent the last few days benchmarking the 1050 and the 1050 Ti. I've done that in 30 games, so it's going to be a big benchmark video, and I've basically, it's all at 1080p, and I've customized all the presets for them. So basically it'll be a combination of medium to high at 1080p with these cards for targeting around 60 FPS. So realistic settings, realistic resolution, and realistic graphics cards. So yeah, it'll be a good comparison. It's a bit of a shame you can't buy these right now because it makes the comparison a little less meaningful, but as I said, before long these will return to the MSRPs. You'll be able to buy them again, and my comparison will be useful to you. Just noticed my shotgun mic had swiveled around. It was pretty much aiming at the ceiling, so I hope the audio wasn't too terrible for this episode. Really struggling, guys. I'm going to end it there. Not the most exciting unboxing episode, so hopefully it wasn't too bad. Hopefully I can edit it and make it a bit more entertaining. But yeah, got some new hardware. Really keen to test this out. Got a few NAS devices there that'll be reviewed on TechSpot. Some really cool headphones. I'm not going to test them out for this episode. I just don't have the energy, if I'm honest. But I'll probably give them a test and show them in an upcoming episode, because yeah, they do look good. I'll at least report back on them anyway, because they definitely look well worth testing. Very, very good build quality, high quality looking headsets. So yeah, I'll test them out. But yeah, I'm going to leave it on that one, guys. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll be back to full fighting form in a few more days. It's been about 10 days with this bloody flu. So yeah, hopefully I can fully beat it soon and get back to creating some content. But I've got quite a few interesting upcoming videos in the works, so stay tuned. I'm your host, Steve. See you again soon, guys.